thank you for joining us from the halls of justice. I used to say, no matter where you are in the city, and that's still true. Tonight we have with us on From the Halls of Justice a wonderful author. He is the brother of Judge Kelvin Filer, and he has a wonderful story on how he did not want to go to law school and become a judge or an attorney like the rest of his family, like his father and his brother and his son and his nieces
and nephews and sister-in-laws and everybody. Yeah.
So with us tonight, we are traveling to the artistic side. And if you would be so kind, Mr. Duane Filer.
Yes.
Part of the Filer legacy. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us how you grew up. Come back. There we go. We have the camera now. Tell us about your background and what happened when you told your dad. That's a wonderful story that you didn't want to go to law school.
I didn't want to go to law school. Yeah, well, as I say, I'm very blessed. I grew up in the city of Compton and had one of the greatest childhoods one could imagine. I know sometimes people hear Compton and they think of something negative, but no, that wasn't the case. We actually helped integrate the city of Compton in the early 50s. We were like the second blacks on our block. So it was quite a time. We helped integrate our church, but my dad became involved in the civil rights, West Coast civil rights movement.
Do you go to the same church as your brother?
I do occasionally. I don't go all the time. I like to go to various churches. Sometimes I go to First United Methodist Church. Sometimes I'll go to Noel Jones.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes I'll go to, some of the other popular churches, mega churches. Sometimes I have friends who have small churches. I just like to go to different churches.
Okay.
But First United Methodist Church is a church that we grew up in Compton.
You got to go to my mama's church.
I will definitely, give me that invitation. I'll come.
So, about your background, your parents are Blondell and
Maxie Filer, yes. And so, like I say, growing up in the city of Compton, it was just tremendous. And I have so many memories. And that's what actually led me to be a writer, is because I do have memories about growing up a little. I remember when we moved into our block first, and it didn't take long for white flight, because there were a lot of blacks moving into Compton at that time.
And there were white people in Compton.
Oh, there were white people on our block, yeah. And I remember because I remember asking my mother, who I call Mommy, I said, Mommy, how come all these signs are appearing in people's front lawns? And me and my friend David Polian, we would have a little game where we'd get some dirt clods and hit a sign and then run, hit another one. And my mother said, well, Duane, people are moving out. And I tell you, you talk about white flight, it didn't take long at all. I mean, from the mid-50s, by the early 60s, Compton was just about entirely black by then. But I had fun, growing up, Rosecrans Elementary School, then Walton Junior High. Then I went to Compton High. I'm a proud Tar Babe, class of 1970. And that's when I started writing in high school.
Did you say Tar Babe?
Tar Babe, yeah, we're the Compton Tar Babes.
Okay.
It was Compton Tartars. It was first at junior college and then high school. And we're proud Compton Tar Babes now. Okay. So Mr. Taylor, Black History class, and he introduced me to books that I had never heard before from black authors, Leroy Jones and James Baldwin, The Fire Next Time, and excuse me if I forget some of this stuff because I forget some of this stuff, but
well, that's good because I grew up with Wuthering Heights and Little Women and The Diary of Anne Frank. And they were good too. Yeah.
So I grew up with that, and then from my children's books, I would watch cartoons on Saturday. They would come on Saturday morning.
Right.
And I remember, I think the Jetsons was like one of my favorites.
Really?
I remember asking my mother, how come they don't have any black characters? How come there are no black cartoons about anybody? And that really kind of piqued my interest. And I said, one day I'm going to write, about people who look like us. And that
You
kind
said
of
that.
piqued my interest. Yeah.
And how old were you?
This was when I was in grade school and into junior high school.
Okay.
Yeah. When I would, whenever we had a class assignment, I would write something. And I'm a little bit different. I've always written a little bit what people may call crazy stuff, like animals.
Okay.
I almost prefer animals over humans. They're so loyal, they're so nice, but I can imagine that they can talk. And then a bunch of my books, there are talking animals. But it's just something a little bit different about me.
Excuse me.
And it's okay to be different. I don't mind being different.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. That's how God made you.
Yes.
So I like that. So how you fell in love with the written word through seeing, it says Harry Dolan of the Watts Writers.
Harry Dolan was a great, the Watts Writers Workshop, and I got a chance to meet him.
Okay.
And he read one of my short stories, and he encouraged me.
Oh, good.
And after that was it. I went to Cal Lutheran. I continued writing at Cal Lutheran University. I would write these crazy short stories, and the teachers would encourage me. They would say, "Hey, I like this. I like this." And then I got accepted into the Open Doors Writers Program. I was writing out in Hollywood, writing screenplays, and just learning the craft. This was when there was a time when they were looking and trying to mentor black writers.
Now,
and I was lucky to get in on that.
This is Hollywood. We're in Hollywood.
Yes, we
and
are.
so we're not doing a commercial. This is about you.
Okay.
So, but since it's about you, and you've written 8 books,
8 books
to
yes,
date.
Yes.
Now, the other thing that's very interesting about you is that, like we said, your brother is a judge, and your son is an attorney, and your niece is an attorney. I love the story. Tell me the story about when you went to your dad and told him.
No
that-
problem. Okay, so like I say, my dad was a city councilman in Compton for 15 years. And during the same time he was doing that and raising 7 kids, he was going to law school.
Yes.
And so he was going to law school, and he believed in the law. That's all he talked about. He watched Perry Mason on TV. That's all that he would watch, and he wanted his kids to be, to go into law. So I actually majored at Cal Lutheran in political science. I actually got accepted into, at that point, I don't even know if it's still out there, Cal Western Law School in San Diego.
Okay. All right.
But
Did your dad
it
see the
wasn't
letter
right here.
where you were accepted?
He saw the letter and he
Okay.
was so excited.
Yes.
And I can remember this day until, I had graduated Cal Lutheran, and it was a summer, and I remember going into his office. He had an office on on Compton Boulevard. And I said, "Dad, I just can't do it." I said, the law doesn't move me. I said, writing and music is what moves me. I had gotten accepted into this DJ school. There was this famous DJ school in Hollywood.
Okay.
And I went down there, and they said, "Oh, you'll make a famous DJ.
Okay.
You can be the next Roland Bynum." I don't know if people will know who they were.
Okay.
Hunter Hancock and, some of the other guys. And so I said, "Dad, I don't want to go to law school." And he was kind of upset. I said, "Instead of the money that you're going to use to help me with law school, could you use it to help me go to DJ school?"
And what was his answer?
Maxie looked at me and he said, "Duane," he said, "I love you. You're my son, and I just can't do it." And I said,
But Hollywood
"Fine."
said you were going to be a big-time DJ.
I know it. I was going to be a DJ, and I love music. But luckily for me, my younger brother coming up next, Kelvin, he fell in love with the law. My brother Anthony fell in love with the law. So they kind of appeased my dad. And so I continued. I had my degree in political science, so I found a nice job with the state of California, working for the California Public Utilities Commission, downtown LA.
Okay.
Worked there for 29 years, and I would write my stories. And
29 years.
29 years.
That's
yeah.
pretty stable.
Catching that train going down there. I was very, very blessed. And then, once I retired in 2013, and I said, well, you know what? Let me start, getting on these books and publishing these books. I would write in between.
That's like your dad. Never give up your dream.
Persistence. I've actually got a screenplay that we're working on my dad. It's called Got the World in the Bottle and the Stopper in Your Hand.
All right.
My dad used to say that because he would walk to his office, and when he would see somebody on the street, and this would be anybody, this could be somebody homeless, he treated everybody the same. Hey, how you doing? You got the world in the bottle and the stopper in your hand? So that's going to be the name of the screenplay when I hopefully complete it sometime soon.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. But the law just didn't, and it's good, but it just didn't do it for me. And luckily, he understood.
And some of your favorite writers?
I've mentioned Sam Greeley, the spook who sat by the door, Langston Hughes. I've mentioned James Baldwin. One of my favorites who really flipped the switch for me was Ishmael Reed.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever read him, but I hope I get the title right. Yellowback Radio broke down, something along those lines.
Oh my goodness.
But Ishmael Reed was just a different cat, and it spoke to me. What he was writing, the way that he was writing, spoke to me. How he would go into his characters and go in and out. And then in college, I read Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas by Hunter S. Thompson.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever heard of him or seen that movie, but he invented this genre called gonzo journalism. It's where you actually get into the character. Your mind gets into the character or the mind of the main character of your book, and you write and you kind of like act out what you're going through. So just reading all these guys, really, I said, you know what? I'm going to be a writer. Of course, it's very tough. It's a very competitive field. So I've written a couple of these books. They've been around since, maybe 2010, 25.
That's good.
Couldn't find a publisher. Send out a zillion query letters. Anybody out there who's been a writer, I'm sure they know what they mean. And then I just decided to self-publish. So I've been self-publishing all these books.
Excellent. What did your
hoping
wife
that one
say?
day.
What did your wife think about this?
My wife, she gives me some support. I get a little bit more from my daughter and my son because my wife, she asked me, why can't I write like normal stuff? Like so many wives. How come you can't just write normal day-to-day stuff? It's almost
she
like
loves you.
It's
Yeah.
almost like in my painting too.
Oh my
I
God.
paint crazy stuff. I like Jackson Pollock and Basquiat. So I paint the same way that I write, and maybe it's the same way from my music. I'm just eclectic. I like a little bit of everything. I like diversity. That's why I don't want to get into politics. Why all this immigration? I just like that. We're a nation of immigrants. I like diversity. I like people who come here searching for something better. So that's what I write. I actually dedicated my Word Food for Dudes book.
Word Food for Dudes. And Dudes is DOODS.
A little bit different, as I told you, but it's comprised of 3 short stories, 2 one-act plays, and that's Kid Spade the Blade, the tattletale grin of Kid Spade. He throws knives instead of guns because he wasn't allowed to have a gun when he was little, but he
throws knives.
He throws knives.
instead
Kid
of
Spade,
guns.
that's why he's called Kid Spade the Blade.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's Blanche Duty and Lattimore Duty. And what's kind of funny about that, I don't
What
know.
happened to bubble gum or something? I'm like...
Well, it's so funny because it's set in this Y'all City, Nevada. And when people walk in, there's a saloon and Blanche is up there singing and people will say, howdy, partner, howdy, bartender, howdy, Phil, how you doing? And then howdy doody, because his name is Lattimore Doody, so they'll say Howdy Doody, which
Howdy
is
Doody.
you know that old phrase.
Right,
It's
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
So that's my my latest book, and I got other stuff to come, but I just enjoy writing. It's my outlet.
Is it expensive to self-publish?
Not really. All that's, as a matter of fact, and I hope you don't mind me saying this, I know some authors, local authors in Compton, Robert Johnson, Walter Tucker, Pamela Samuels Young. There's a website, an outfit called Create Space, which is like the cheapest, which a lot of people use. It is not that expensive at all. Now, I used Author House, Ex Libris, and iUniverse, which is a combination of, they're all one group, excuse me. But it is not that expensive. But I would tell anybody who would want to be an author, the first thing to do is to try to land a literary agent.
Okay.
Because then you don't have to spend any of your money, and they will work all the stuff for you, all the marketing and whatnot. But it's a very, just like music and anything else, it's a very tough field to crack. But
Who maintains the rights, though? I mean, do you give?
oh yeah, no, you retain them. You retain the rights.
Okay.
Yeah. You do have to get permission from, like, if you use certain pictures or whatnot, like my illustrators or in my baby boomers first year guide to retirement. I had to get permission from people in all the pictures to use their pictures.
Okay.
But they were all friends and stuff, so.
I'm sure they loved it. Are you kidding?
Yeah, to be in the book. Yeah,
that's right. That's right. A claim to fame. Everybody wants a piece of eternity some kind of way. So
yes.
that is wonderful.
Yeah.
You have on here, let's see, Sly and the Family Stones is your favorite group of all time?
Of all time. And my brother Kelvin and my brother Anthony are going crazy because, we would go wherever Sly would go. And I actually introduced them to Sly and the Family Stone, excuse me, in the late 60s. If he was in any place in L.A. or San Diego, I would go see him.
Okay.
And it just moved me. And I think one of the things that moved me about his group was not just his music, but diversity in the group. He had the women in the group.
Did you introduce him personally or to his music?
No, just to the music.
Oh,
just
okay,
to the music.
okay, all right.
Yeah,
I was going to say, you met Sly?
Yeah. But once again, I was eclectic. Sure, during that period of time, the 60s, when there was Motown, there was Stax, but being eclectic as I was, like I also liked the Rolling Stones. I liked the Talking Heads. I liked Van Morrison. If it hit me in here, then I would like it. Don't care what color you were.
Right.
Gender didn't matter. Just if it moved me. And luckily, that's the way I am in just about everything that I do. Writing, painting, eclectic. If I hear something I like, I'll go for it.
That is wonderful. Oh my goodness. So you finished your 7th book, The Legend of Diddley Squat.
Yes.
Okay.
Can I tell you just a little bit about that one?
Okay.
Where that inspiration came from?
Absolutely. Tell me about the inspiration.
That one's right here. One of my favorite comedians of all time is Richard Pryor.
Okay.
And if you know anything about his history, he was born in Peoria, Illinois. And allegedly, is from what I remember, his mother left him in the care of his grandmother. Now, his grandmother ran a brothel in Peoria. This is back in the day.
Right.
So Richard was helped raised by a lot of the women, girls who worked in the brothel. A lot of the famous people who would come through the brothels at that time, I mean, it was happening. And please don't get me wrong. Yeah. Don't get me wrong saying this, but I love that.
Show. Keep going.
Yeah. So I thought in today's world with bullying is such a big topic right now. And then you've heard you don't know diddly squat and whatnot.
Right.
I said, well, why don't I bring diddly squat to life?
Wow.
So I said, is The Legend of Diddley Squat, a novella from a brother Feller. His father was Doodley Squat,
Okay.
His mother was Jackie Squat.
Oh my goodness.
So as you can imagine, his mother leaves him just like Richard Pryor's mom, and he's raised by his grandmother, Mama Squat, who owns the Mama Squat Inn back in Mississippi. And but they help him with his homework, and they take him places. They take him to church. Now, see, a lot of people say, I don't know if prostitutes went to church. Everybody was welcome to church. But they would help him. The musicians would pass by and they would help him.
They used to say pimps used to hate it when their prostitutes went to church.
But one musician fell, just liked Diddley so much, and he started teaching him the guitar. So Diddley fell in love with the guitar, and he would be bullied and whatnot, but he was a good-looking little dude growing up, and the girls started to like him, even though he was diddly squat, and at first he was bullied, but he got through all of that. So this is like the first chapter of his life, where he graduates high school. His best friend, believe it or not, is a squirrel, a flying squirrel back then, who Diddley has these powers where he can talk to animals, he can make himself small, but he's going on a journey. This will be the first time that he's going out to actually play and leaving. It's called Rundown City, which is where he's born. He's leaving Rundown, so that's the first play, the first book, but I've got the second book. I've already started taking notes and jotting down stuff.
So with all this creativity, you do love animals. So
I love animals.
You get to release all that creative mental awareness that you have all built up inside.
I've probably got my
From
squirrel.
The corporate world,
My squirrel now, I got a couple of squirrels in the backyard now, Rocky and his mate, and they are probably mad at me because I haven't given them some nuts in a couple of days. But you know what's so funny? Because I paint in my backyard, and I'll go out and I'll write sometimes. And I swear, when I go outside and I have my music, when I put on James Brown Doing It to Death, you should see these squirrels dance.
Oh my goodness.
They're sitting up there, they got them a nut, they're going crazy, and they're just chewing on the nut, and man, they're just dancing. They love James Brown.
Oh my God.
The birds are chirping, and it's just nature, and I just love it. And it allows me to create. That's my atmosphere.
Well, you know what? I love your outfit. And it's so adorable because you've been married for how long?
41 years.
41 years. And your wife is a principal or was
She was a principal.
Okay.
She recently had to retire, but she was the principal of CAMS, which was a highly rated high school on the campus of Cal State Dominguez Hills. We live right in Carson. Fortunately, her mom had a stroke and she had to retire earlier. But now it's funny you should say my pants. My wife is going to kill me because I wore these pants. I'm an old hippie.
Oh,
You know what, Wanda? I'm 65. I think I've earned the chance to be me. I've earned the right to be me. You see my T-shirts? I wear tie-dyed. I love to tie-dye.
Well, you look good.
I don't believe in throwing away jeans. I go to Michael's and I get my patches and I take them to this cleaners around the corner and they patch them, and everybody seems to love them, but my wife is not a big fan of them.
Well, we don't want to get you in trouble with misses.
That's okay.
But your pants are really cool.
That's
your
okay.
shirt and your
just
pants.
old hippie, and it's what I'm comfortable in, and I think I've deserved the right to express me. Like I said, I'm 65. God gave me 65 great years, and it's the way that I'm gonna go until the end. This and writing, yes.
Well, that's beautiful. Writing. I think. What type of advice? Well, you said that they should get a publisher if possible.
Right.
Would you give to other aspiring writers?
Right.
Because personally, I think that if you could, publishing your own book would be the way to go.
It's funny you should say that. So many people have said that because you control stuff.
Yes.
You can control stuff. Now, the reason why I would like another publisher, this is the first time I've done something like this. I'm not that great at marketing. telemarketing.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get on Facebook. So I do hire people to help do the marketing.
Mm-hmm.
It's something I don't really like talking about myself that much. I wish everybody would, of course, buy my books.
Well, between
Yeah.
the animals and the
Yeah.
and the communication between what diddly squat and the
Yeah.
animals and the
Yeah.
squirrels,
Yeah.
would you say that some of these books are children books? Are they
Oh.
children friendly?
Yeah. These three of them are children's books.
Okay.
Fast Jack Robinson.
Okay.
The fastest bunny in the world, lives in Bunny Junction.
Okay.
Miss Missy, about our first dog, and I mentioned my brothers and sisters growing up. And then one of my favorites is this one, Duncan in the Chocolate Bar.
Oh.
He's from Compton. They finally decide regular people can go to the moon.
Uh-huh.
He enters a contest. He wins.
What a cute
Something
child.
like similar to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Bar. But he enters a contest,
Adorable.
wins. So he takes his cousin Drew with him on the trip. What's so funny, he gets to meet the president, who's a woman, Asian woman president at that point in time. You know, it's in the future.
All right.
And it's his adventure in going into space.
So Hillary didn't run in vain.
Hillary didn't run.
Okay.
Hillary was gone by then.
And it'll
But
be
we
after
did have,
Oprah.
Yeah.
You know, she's declined. Okay.
I was
all
thinking I
right.
should have named her Oprah, but yeah.
Oh, that is wonderful.
So yeah, three of them children, and I have a whole set of those ready to come out. As I said, I got stuff lined up.
Mm-hmm.
I hope to, God willing, put out at least one book a year.
Okay.
So that's why I put out Word Food now, and I put out Diddly Squat last year. Well, that's okay.
I got it. I
That's
got
okay.
it.
That's good.
Okay.
You can just lay 'em
Well,
down.
here, I'll hold it.
Yeah.
Legend
So
of
I'm
Diddley
blessed.
Squat. Okay, yes.
And you know, the other thing, I do talk to, I will go to like high schools and stuff and talk
Right.
to people about my books and about mentoring. And one thing I tell anybody, because a lot of people say, well, I have a story to write. I like to write.
Right.
And
There's
Actually,
a story inside all of
we
us,
do.
yeah.
It's not really all that difficult. I tell them the number one thing, you need a journal.
Okay.
You need to keep a journal with you. Now, nowadays, you can even, if you want to use your phone,
Dictate
put a
on
note
your
on your
phone.
phone.
Okay.
Dictate on your phone about either a character, something funny, or something that you may want to use in your book,
Okay.
and you write it down, and your book will just come together. You throw out outlines. You throw out possible chapters. You don't worry about the grammar, the pronunciation, all of that at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
You just throw this book together.
Get the story out
Get the
there.
story out there first,
Okay.
and then comes the hard part, which is the editing, putting together the characters, and all of that stuff.
Duane Filer, part
Yeah.
of the Filer legacy.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for joining us on From the Halls of Justice.
Yeah.
And
Thank you. I
the
really want to
creative
say
side.
you did it. Thank you very much. I'm just so lucky to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Please join us next week on From the Halls of Justice. And you are just amazing. And I don't know how you find time to do all this.
Yeah. Well, I'm
There's a
lucky.
book in here.
Retired. Oh, there's a lot of stuff, and like I say, you can contact me anytime. I got a website, DwayneLanceFiler.wix.com. My daughter helped me put it together. I will answer anything. Reach me, DwayneLanceFiler@gmail.com,
All right.
and I'm here to help. I just want to give back.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That's awesome. Well, I think that what you're doing is absolutely